We are gonna substitute beer for water in our pizza dough. This is gonna be an adventure. Come on, let's do this. We're gonna measure all of our ingredients out, and remember, always use a digital scale because we're mad scientists here. We're doing some baking in that water. In this case, beer to flour ratio is critical, okay? So get yourself a scale if you want to improve your baking. Now I'm basically measuring out my flour here. I like to use an organic bread flour. I always like organic because I feel as though it's a little bit cleaner. I'm gonna measure about 500 grams. That was way too much. I'm using these nice bowls too, so I can kind of mix everything right inside. Not to be Joe the equipment guy, but you also need to have a micro scale because we are measuring our yeast in micro amounts, and I'm talking 1/100th of a gram. Pick up one of these babies too. And all I'm gonna do to my micro scale, I zero it out first, and then I've got my Fleshman's active dry yeast, and I'm gonna measure out about 2 grams. And you can see, like, this makes a difference, okay? 2 grams. Sea salt, don't need to be as dialed in here, but I'm gonna still go with 16 grams on the button. All right, so I take my yeast, I dump it in my bowl, and I give it a whisk around. Next, I'm gonna add my salt and whisk it around. Next, you're gonna take the beer. I'm just using one of the, I like to use one of these GIR spatulas, and I just kind of mix it up. And this basically cover this thing up. And my strategy for the next 2 or 3 days, I'm gonna let this sit on the counter at room temp for maybe 12 hours. Then I will move this entire container into the fridge for maybe 2-3 days, depending on my schedule. But the longer this dough sits, up to days 3, 4, and 5, the more robust and flavorful the dough becomes. So I highly recommend it, minimum of 24 hours, up to 3 or 4 days in the fridge. So the last step is, after I remove my dough from the fridge, I'm gonna portion it up now. I like to be, and this is the day I'm making my pizza. So it's Friday night, I'm gonna have my pizza. I'm making about 250 gram dough balls. So once I get it measured up, I'm gonna flour my hands, pick the dough up, kind of douse it in flour because it's sticky, right? Pick it up, and make my dough balls. And the reason we do this, if you want light and airy dough, this is a critical step. So essentially we're massaging the dough, just kind of folding it in half and then pressing in and closing and turn. I'll get a close up here. Press in lightly and then close it and then turn again. Press in, close. And if it gets sticky at all, use some more flour on your hands and close and turn. And I grab each side. It's not a stress ball. Be gentle and close. The back side is smooth like a baby's butt. You can see that. And I'm knocking a little bit of air out of this. And then what I'll do is I'll put that smooth side in my palm. I'll close it up, almost like a dumpling. I can be aggressive here, and you can see I've got a nice airtight ball. Let those glutens relax for 3 or 4 hours before we bake it and stretch it out again. So after you make your dough balls, grab a sheet tray, a deli. We've got these dough containers are awesome. Place it on top, cover it. If you have saran wrap, that's great. Make it airtight. Let it rest for a minimum of 4 hours, then stretch, make your pizza. Hopefully you got your baking steel warming up in your oven, and you are gonna make the best beer pizza dough in the history of the world.